the moderation of this session. And so good morning, good afternoon, everyone. And so you are welcome to this 20th session of the Pan-African Platform for Farmer Organization organized by PAFO with AHA. And so I think that the majority of you are used to participating in these meetings, in these sessions. And so it is an honor to get to the 20th session. And so this session is the family farmer of the UN by PAFO. And so these are perspectives for Africa. This session is prepared by UNDAFF and UNDAFF, and this session is prepared by myself, a coordinator of UNDAFF, and my colleague Hilary, who is in charge of programs within UNDAFF. And so, as I have said, this is the 20th session. And so we are going to talk about the decade, the UN decade of family farming. And so the objective, the general objectives are to evaluate the progress by African farmers in this decade. And so we are going to talk about analyze the challenges that are persisted in these, and also propose recommendation for the 5 years that are coming in order to strengthen resilience and sustainability of family agriculture, farming in Africa. And during this session, we are going to also work on cooperation between farmer organization and international partners in order to support our family farming. And so interpretation is available, simultaneous interpretation is available. And so you could actually access this. You need to only select the language that you prefer using. And so this session is going to take 2 hours. And the agenda, I would like to ask UNDAFF to share with us the agenda of this meeting. Yes, thank you, UNDAFF. Yes, we can see your screen. And so we would like to thank UNDAFF, who has actually been supporting us. And we also would like to thank our technical and financial supporter, that is AHA. UNDAFF, and so as I was saying, so during this session, we are going to work for 2 hours. And so the first part is on a presentation from FAO and the state of progress for this decade of family farming. And so the second part is for the farmer organizations who are going to present their experiences on this, and also the programs. And after that, we are going to work in groups, and there are questions that are going to be linked to the decade of family farming in Africa. And so we are going to work on the challenges, the obstacles that we have, and also the policy frameworks that exist for this decade. And so in UNDAFF, we are not able to see the agenda that you are sharing. No? Not yet. We are only seeing the screen, your screen, but we are not seeing the agenda.
Comment ça? Je vais arrêter et repartager.
Yes, I'm stopping, then I can share once again.
Est-ce que c'est bon maintenant?
Is it okay now? Yes, yes. It is okay now. And so, as I was saying, this is the agenda, and the agenda had already been shared with you. And so the first part is on presentations, and the second part is group work. And so thank you very much, UNDAFF. And so in order to get more information, we need to introduce ourselves as region. I'll request each region to open the camera so that we can introduce ourselves, so that we can see the people who are representing each region of Africa. And so EF, I would like to ask you to put on your camera. Our colleagues from EF, put on your camera. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, Hilary. I do not know, Hilary, you do not have other colleagues with you from EF who are joining?
I think they are still coming in. Eh? They are still coming. Yeah.
D'accord, ok.
Let me ask them.
D'accord. Donc,
so thank you very much, colleagues. So colleagues from Sakau, put on your camera so that we can greet one another. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, colleagues from Sakau. So good morning, Tinashe. And our colleagues from ROPA, please put on your camera so that we can greet one another. ROPA, I do not know, maybe. We do not have participants from ROPA with us yet.
Donc, on passe pour la PROPAC.
And so, for PROPAC, colleagues from PROPAC, I would like to request you to put on your cameras so that we can greet one another. Good morning, good afternoon. And finally, I would like to ask our colleagues from UMNAGRI, please put on. Yes, good morning, good afternoon. And so, I'm from the farmer organization from Central Africa, which is a member of PROPAC. Thank you and welcome. So our colleagues from UMNAGRI, put on your camera so that we can say hello to you. Thank you very much for your participation.
Bonjour, merci. Donc,
so thank you. So, so the most important part for this session, which is very important, given that we are at the level of the midterm review for this decade. And so I'll give the floor to Francesco Diasio, that is from FAO. So good morning. And so we are honored to have you in this session, to meet you during this session. And so the floor is yours, Mr. Francesco, so that you can do a presentation on the world and the continental level, the international So thank you very much, Raja, and thank you very much, Umnagri and EF, and also PAFO for having organized this session. This session, I think, are exchanges that are very important for all the colleagues and also at the FAO level. So I would like to request UNDFF to share the screen, and my presentation is going to be in French because we already have the interpretation. And so I'm going to speak slowly so that this will help the interpreters to follow the presentation. And so you can actually put it on presentation mode. I can see the slides. Maybe you can go to slide show. And not yet. You can go to the menu up there. Then you do slide on top. And so move to slide show, move to the right, to the slide show. Yes, you can move to slide show. If you are listening to me, after animation to the right, there is where it is written slide show up there. Yes, next, yes, there. Click there, and then you say click start from beginning. Alors, the first button at the left, go back to slide show. You need to go to slide show. Slideshow, yes, there you are. And so the first button on the left, you need to click there from the beginning. So I think that...
Please click on the slideshows. Click on it first. Slideshow.
Voilà, premier bouton à gauche. From the beginning.
Now you can move to the first button to the left. Yes, there we are. There we are.
I will continue in English then. First of all, again, thank you all for your participation. So my role would be today to try to frame a little bit the context where we are moving and try to also highlight the achievements, especially from the FIO perspective, but also from the steering committee perspective and for the whole steering committee. So we know about the definitions. I'm not going to be very long on this. Means of organizing agricultural, forestry, fisheries, managed by and operated by family and reliant on family capital and labor. But the important thing here that I would like to share with you is the combination about economic, environmental, social, and cultural functions. Next slide, please. Why this is important? Because, of course, this is the multi-dimension. Please, can you move on with the next slide? Again, the next one. And this multi-dimension, I would say, framework is extremely important when we see the support of the family farming policies in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals. goals, and therefore we know that family farming are supporting the SDGs, this multidimensionality that we just described, and at the same time SDG support the family farming through the display of the full potential for sustainable development. Next slide, please. In this context, we can just have a look on the composition of the. Oh, is it a white slide? The composition, I think there is probably a problem on this sharing. Anyway, of the steering committee. The steering committee, as you know, is composed by several organizations. There are representatives of the member states. There are some global family farming organizations, such as La Via Campesina, such as the World Farmer Organization, and the World Rural Forum. We know also that there is a regional representation with organizations that should be guarantee the steady flow of information and ensure the contributions. So in these organizations, of course, change. We know that we have AFA from in this moment from Asia, PAFO, CLOC, the Pacific farmer organizations, and so on. These organizations, of course, change within the time. In this moment, if I'm not mistaken, PAFO as the representation coming from ROPA. There is also a joint secretariat, which is composed mainly by FAO and IFAD. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. I think so. No, we are really a little bit too far. Can you go back a little bit? Sorry, Insaf, back again. Okay, so we can advance from now. Okay, so we spoke about the multi-dimension of the work of the steering committee, and you can see it in these different pillars. We have 7 pillars in total. Well, of course, the first one is probably the most important one, because it should develop an enabling policy environment to strengthen family farming. There are some pillars that are really cross-cutting, trying to engage, in particular, youth and women. A pillar on strengthening the family farming organizations and capacities to generate knowledge, the pillar 4. Pillar 5 is on the improvement of the socioeconomic inclusion. Pillar 6 is on sustainability, and Pillar 7 is exactly what we were discussing just a few minutes ago about this multi-dimension of the family farming processes. And just to give you a few ideas, for instance, on the Pillar 3, when we talk about gender, just to mention that there is a very recent training manual on gender integration that was developed very, very recently, with a training program that should support the policymakers and the stakeholders in employing gender mainstreaming in public policy as a strategy for advancing in family farming. Or another example, we talk about capacity development, and this is related to the pillar number 4. And in this context, a lot has been done in the last 5 years, where many tools have been providing knowledge to inform the policy-making processes, publications aiming to support the decision makers, but also research studies. And based on the above, imagine that just in 2023, 14 capacity development initiatives and activities have been conducted on a national or regional level. Next slide, please. This is just to give you an example of the different activities that we can see then more in detail. Next slide, please. In this context, there are, of course, the next slide, areas of intervention. And these areas of intervention are in particular the engagement and outreach, the coordination and policy support, capacity development, and the technical leadership. In all of them, the FAO is working very closely with local organizations, particularly when we talk about engagement and outreach. This is a clear, I would say, direction and objective that should involve all the different stakeholders in the consultation and negotiation processes as widely as possible. On the coordination for policy support, the work is mainly to tailor family farming policies and intervention in the specific national context, and therefore the FAO is supporting the governments in assessing the country legislative and policy framework and try to develop programs on family farming to ensure that all the relevant policy areas are being considered. When we talk about capacity development, and we will see it in a while more in detail, at the heart of the FAO's work for family farming, there is the commitment to empowerment. And of course, empowerment means capacity development with governments, with local actors, including family farming organizations, academia, women, and youth groups. Only, developing knowledge and horizontal knowledge sharing, we can, of course, achieve important results and establish close relationships to ensure the development of the materials that are prepared for this purpose. Finally, the technical leadership, because of course, in response to the UN General Assembly and the FAO and IFAD Secretariat implementing this decade, the two organizations have established this secretariat guided by the International Steering Committee. We have seen the composition of the steering committee, of course, and FAO is providing knowledge and guidance to ensure a holistic approach supporting family farming. Next slide, please. So we spoke about some of the achievements, and we can see them very clearly in this slide. We had more than 80 intersectoral coordination mechanisms, 3,015 laws and policies and regulation, 16 national action plan for family farming, and you can see in the slide how many stakeholders have been involved. 2,000 and more than 2,600 national committees for family farming and organizations, 1,800 organizations, 77 countries with policies that change, and 44 with a clear framework related to the United Nations of Decade for Family Farming. Of course, one of the main I would say outcomes is also the establishment of the committees for the national action plans for family farming, and you can see on the figures and on the map on the bottom right of this of this slide all the countries that are involved in this process. So as you can see, there is a huge effort, but of course also some very interesting results. The next slide, please. In this slide, obviously, we can see some of the products that have been developed when we talk about knowledge generation and capacity development. We have, manuals, we have legal analysis. I'm not going one by one. Next slide, please. We have manuals on family farmers and small-scale producers in the context of the COVID-19, resilience strategies. We have the performances and inclusiveness of poor people in cooperatives and other producer organizations, small case producer on the policy analysis. All this, excuse me, if I come back on the same principle, is always about the fundamental aspect of this multidisciplinarity approach that is in regard of family farming. Next slide, please. And you can see it because, of course, it's touching a lot of issues. Now, this is probably one of the most also interesting outcomes, because you can see in this slide an overview of the family farming knowledge platform, which is a participatory tool trying to bring together different entities, government, farmers organizations, academia, civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, for the purpose of sharing knowledge, solutions, and action-oriented initiatives around the world. This means that this family farming and agroecology community of practices have been set up with 2,600 members around the world. Family farming and agroecology community of practice, for instance, provide a purpose-driven multi-stakeholder space to discuss and exchange knowledge. Just to state on some key figures, the family farming platform is visited by 50 to 70,000 users per month, and it currently includes more than 37,000 documents uploaded by the organizations and by the contributors. How many contributors we have? We have 256 direct contributors to this platform. There are, of course, regular online discussions that are organized and attended by more or less 4,400 people. So this is to give you an idea of the, I would say, importance and relevance of the family farming knowledge platform, especially when it comes to this participatory, I would say, approach and process that we would like to foster within FAO. Next slide, please. In this context, there is also an important work done by the Communication for Development team. This slide refers to annual data, but for instance, what I can say is that there are three main pillars of work: awareness raising and engagement, capacity development, and rural communication services. In this case, we refer to the three main communication for development initiatives. One is Diasio, the second one is Onda Rural in Latin America, the last one is Yenkasa Africa, and on Yenkasa Africa we are going to have just in a while a more detailed overview of the activities. Each one of these platforms developed what we called a participatory communication plan to support not just the national action plan at the national level, but also regional initiatives with the aim to raise awareness, strengthen the communication capacity, and produce and promote, the so-called rural communication services. In the last years, we developed monthly newsletters, social media campaigns, a rural radio initiative taking place currently in 32 countries, with more than 350 radio programs that are broadcasted by local antennas in the different countries. In the last years, we had 10 virtual trainings on topics such as participatory video, experience capitalization. We had 6 webinars just on this, just on experience capitalization, with almost 1,000 participants, 973 to be precise, and 1 face-to-face training that took place in Zambia a couple of years ago about audiovisual production. In terms of rural communication services, we are now supporting 14 countries in the 3 regions, Latin America, Asia, and Africa. There are 2 communication for development assessment for the national action plans in the Philippines and Indonesia, and ongoing consultations, regional fora, and supporting experience capitalization or series of good practices. Next slide, please. All this, of course, is leading us to understand a little bit more about all these mechanisms that, as you can see, could appear quite complex, but in fact, it's just, the work of a multi-stakeholder platform for dialogue, where we try to put together family farming organization, governments, academia, and the private sector, where, of course, the first aim is the agenda setting for the development and implementation of the national action plans, where, of course, it is fundamental to share information at the national level, not to forget the last fundamental aspect, which is monitoring and reporting on the implementation and progresses at the regional and national level. Next slide, please. Now, just to conclude this presentation, you know very well that from the 15th to the 17th of October, there is the Global Family Farming Forum during the World Food Forum Week. It will take place in Rome and will celebrate the midterm of the United Nations Decade implementation. So the aim is to celebrate family farming as a key pillar of diversity, innovation, dynamic agri-food system, review the results, of course, but also try to establish a roadmap for the coming 5 years. This global forum would also provide a platform for synergies, as you can imagine, where, of course, one of the spotlight will be on investments, on science and innovation, on work and market opportunities, but also with some cross-cutting, I would say, aspects such as youth-related issues that will be discussed during a particular flagship event taking place the 18th of October. Just to conclude, consider that during the whole event, we are also going to set up a rural radio station that will be placed just outside the farmhouse, which is the venue of the debates. And in this rural radio station, we are going to live stream interviews and roundtable discussions about family farming, trying also to approach the different topics related to agri-food system, gender inclusivity, indigenous people's perspective. This radio station will also showcase the fundamental role of the radios in providing communication services to family farmers. We know very well that, especially in Africa, rural radio, community radios play a fundamental role in communication, because they communicate in local languages, they communicate tailoring the information to their listeners and their audience. And by the way, they also foster participation. So in this case, we are going to gather journalists from the 3 regions, Asia, Africa and Latin America, and we will produce a series of products on a daily basis that will be made available to the broadcasters on the local level to provide them the possibility to develop their own programs and act in parallel with us during the global forum. We will have different, I would say, blocks, opening and technical sessions, the global forum in general, short presentations, but also the program of the rural station, as we said. Technical sessions will be animated by at least 70 speakers coming from 51 countries, and this gives you the idea of the huge effort that we are trying to put together during this forum. For the next slide, you see here the possibility to register and to access the website of the event. Of course, after this initiative today, we are going to share this presentation so that you will be able to follow up the event remotely if you cannot be in Rome. So for now, I thank you very much. I believe that after this presentation, we can have an open Q&A session, and probably we can advance with a more detailed presentation of the results achieved in Africa through the Communication for Development platform, Yenkasa Africa. So thank you very much for your attention.
Je vous remercie infiniment, Monsieur Francesco, pour cette présentation assez
I thank you very much for this presentation with important information as farmer organization, actually seeing 16 national plans for the region. And so this is success. The other thing you have said that after this session, we are in the process of preparing a declaration for so that we can present it during the forum in October that is going to take place in Rome. And so I would like to give Hilary the floor to continue with the moderation. That is for the question and answer session, and this is for the participants, because I know that you have many questions, and especially those representing the farmer regional and national farmer organizations. So Hilary, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Raja, I think, and Francesco, for that very insightful presentation. I think the UNDFF is a very important component, especially when it comes to farmers' organization. One, because there are a lot of action areas which actually need to come together. And maybe for a small comment, I like the fact that collaborative action and research are now in support of family farming. So I think I must really appreciate the fact that the presentation is really bringing up those very insightful comments and discussions. So very quickly, because of time, I would want to take questions from colleagues. So you can always react by raising your hand. So you go to the reactions on the icons below your screen. You should be able to see reactions, and then you can raise your hand if there is something that you need Francesco to clarify, or a comment. If you have one, then you should be very quick to do that. So if there are questions, please, you could react by raising up your hand. Then I should be able to see and give you an opportunity. This has to be a very interactive session, given that family farming is a big topic, especially for the different institutions, the services that we provide for farmers, and this goes a long way in bringing out these discussions. So anyone with a question, please just feel free to raise your hand. I should be able to see whether there are questions. Maybe the question I need to ask meanwhile, as colleagues try and figure out how to bring about their questions, I would want to hear more about youth engagement in the UNDFF. I think we always speak about family farming, but we are not able to unpack and see what is the proportion of the youth in terms of the family farmers. I'm saying that because when you look at technology, the new technologies in agriculture, the youth are actually supposed to be the people who are really taking this up. So I do not know whether the UNDFF, yes, it has a component on youth, but has it really, what has been the experience in that? That's a question that I would want to pose to Francisco. Meanwhile, colleagues, please raise your hand if you also want to seek any clarification so that then we are able to proceed. Meanwhile, maybe Francesco, you could answer my question as I wait for colleagues to also ask their question. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much, Hilary. I will answer you from the perspective of the Communication for Development team, where I am particularly engaged. And we know very well that in this context, there is a fundamental importance of youth, especially when we talk about innovation. I have seen this in the preparation of the Global Forum for Family Farming. As I said, there is a particular focus on them, and a parallel forum that will take place the 18th of October. And sometimes the perception is, even in regards, to service providers that support us for the preparation of the event, the idea of a kind of old-fashioned family farming framework. While we know that new technologies, artificial intelligence, access to mobile data, horizontal knowledge sharing are extremely relevant. And of course, youth are playing a fundamental role on this. I also see, when we talk about communication, the great interest that there is not just for the newly established social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. Yes, of course, there is an increasing role of these platforms, but also the curiosity to learn about the, I would say, old-fashioned communication tools, like, for instance, the participatory video, where youngsters with a simple mobile phone are able to produce, edit, and share, small stories and more success, adventures in their own local context. So I think in the global Family Farming Forum, we are going to set up a particular space with virtual reality, with these 3D glasses that will allow to build a kind of farm according to new approaches and methodologies. So all this to say that, of course, we cannot imagine any strategy, any policy, any market opportunity if youngsters are not involved. And they should be involved at all levels, coming from the participation to the legal framework and policy framework, to the market opportunities, and especially to the access of knowledge, access of tools, and access of financial opportunities in order to develop their scope.
Yeah, thank you, Francisco. I think that's very useful, and it gives a real understanding of how the UNDFF, operates in the face of the youth. So thank you for responding to that. I see Tinashe, you've raised your hand. Could you please take the floor and ask your question?
As Hilary, thanks so much, and thanks to Francisco for the presentation. I wanted to ask maybe probably Francisco to clarify this for me. Then at the beginning of the conversations around family farming, there were problems as to who exactly is a family farmer or can be considered to be a family farmer. For example, here in South Africa, we have got very big commercial farmers, and they've been farming there as families for decades. And but the conversations were mainly sort of talking to smallholder farmers that are in communal areas to be considered as family farmers. But if you look at the example that I just gave of South African commercial farmers, they've been farming as families for more than, I don't know, centuries, going back to the previous century. So I don't know how those conversations ended, but maybe you could actually assist with the clarification on that. Thanks. Over to you.
No, thank you very much. I mean, because this is a recurrent debate. I had the same debate with some colleagues, I remember, or at least 4 or 5 years ago, because of course the definition is quite tricky. Imagine that even in Australia, I mean, one single family can have access to, I don't know, huge parts of land and so on. So in general, we refer first of all, to all type of production. It can be agriculture, forestry, fishing, pastoral. So first of all, we don't just refer to agriculture. Then we have to say that in general, 95% of the family farmer are smaller than 5 hectares. So the movement we refer to is usually these 95% of the small scale farmers that have, less than 5 hectares. And there are currently like 600 million family farming around the world. And just to give you an idea, I mean, of course, they employ a limited number of persons, although quite important, is more or less the 30% of the world population, but they produce 80% of the world food in value terms. Yes, of course, it is a very difficult definition, but in the meantime, we refer, yes, to families, we refer to small scale farmers. I'm currently working with the emergency program in Somalia. And I believe that in Somalia, probably 90% of the rural and pastoral, I would say, context is organized around the families and the small-scale production. So that's the framework where we refer to.
Thanks, Francesco. I hope that is sufficient for the question. I see Gunshap. So please unmute Gunshap and take the floor.
Yes. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. My question is that I want to be clarified because we have seen a problem with the family farming in the situation of land because there is a land. How we call it? There is a land. For example, in Mauritius, my father has 7 acres of land. Now there is a law that when he dies, this land should be divided equally in all the children. So the 7 acres become 1 acre for me, 1 acre for my sisters, and they are not doing agriculture. And now they are doing construction. But what happened? It's just like it is destroying the system of family farming. So I want to know if there is any policy is developing in this concern to preserve the agriculture land and to give to one family or to bind the family farming, then they can do like a corporation and a company to work on this. Those that to preserve the land of agriculture, because I see that it is going, the land is divided and it is becoming, because after my son I will die, it will become more or less. So 1 acre become maybe 50 acre, 0.5 acre. So it is diminishing like this. In future, I think it is not be secure for the land to do agriculture. There will be no land for agriculture. That is my question.
No, your question is extremely pertinent, but of course, as you can imagine, this is something which is not just related to the land, but to the whole, I would say, financial capital of a family. And in some cases, it is exactly the opposite. Some persons within the family cannot have access to the heritage, to the capital, or to the goods of the family. I believe that in this context, the equality between women and men is fundamental. And then, of course, every single country has its own approach. But this goes beyond the issue of the land, because this is a very strict administrative and financial process related to the heritage policies that are included in each country. Of course, this is an important issue. And I think that it should be considered also as a priority when we talk about the legal and policy framework. But of course, this goes really beyond the issue of the steering committee, I would say, work also, because it is really related to parallel topics that goes really beyond the control, not just of the steering committee, but also of the, I would say, international involvement in this context. But again, this is a fundamental question, and thank you very much for putting this on the table.
Thank you so much, Francesco. Because of the interest of time, I want to return it now to Raja. Thank you so much, Francesco. I think that has been very useful. And we look forward to further engagement, especially to see the presentation, put more comments, and then build on our activities going forward. So I want to invite Raja to take us to the next presentation. Raja.
Merci Hilary, merci Monsieur Francesco.
So thank you, Hilary. Thank you, Francesco. Before going to the next presentation, we are going to UNDAFF to do a presentation on their experience on the decade of family agriculture in Tunisia. They have an experience which started in 2020, and so they have had progress during these 2 years. And so I give the floor to our colleague from UNDAFF, Lamia, or his coordinator, to present very briefly the experience of the Union for Farmers and Fisher Folks. So good afternoon, good morning, Raja. You can hear me, yes? Thank you, Raja, and thank you, everyone, all participants, PAFO, and all the farmer organizations of Africa for your presence. I'm presenting, I am Lamia Gam from UNDAFF. I'm the coordinator for the decade of family agriculture, and so our leader has another meeting that is taking place parallel to this one, and so he's not able to join us. First of all, I would like to do a small presentation of the state of family agriculture in Tunisia. In Tunisia, farming is characterized by the number, and especially the area under practice is limited, and the number has increased to 58%, and the land has reduced by 26%, and so with 2 hectares. And so you can see how land has become very limited for the farmers. And so these are small-scale farmers. And so these are the people who have been affected. And so currently, we have 133,000 farmers. And so these are figures and CIRAD has given in 2017. And so these limited land account for 75% of activities, and with 1 and 1.5 hectares. And so these are exploitations that are done in agriculture, gardening, vegetable farming, and also cereals. And there's a lot of livestock that is done, and 44% is on other things. And as I have said, the land area is less than 5 hectares, and this is actually what is undertaken for farming. And so you can see the importance of family agriculture in Tunisia. So in 2021, we were contacted by the Rural World Forum, that is Madame Sylvie, and they asked us to do a pilot in coming up with a plan, national action plan on family farming. And so that is from 2021. So in UTAP, we worked with the different stakeholders, with FAO, IFAD, the Ministry of Agriculture and Water Resources and Fisheries, and also the Ministry of Social Services, and for the aged people, the Ministry of Information and Work, the Ministry of Environment. And we also worked with financial institutions. And so we also had the gender aspect, and so without forgetting also the organization of civil societies and others, the NGOs, and also the associations that work on family agriculture. And so for the experiences and the results that were achieved, we started by grouping, coming up with a committee for family agriculture, because we had stakeholders in Tunisia and with FAO and IFAD. And so we created a group, a national committee for family agriculture. And after that, we signed an agreement, an MOU with FAO Tunisia, which was signed in September 2021. And during the international meeting that was held in 2021, we organized with donors, and we organized a seminar for launching officially the decade of family agriculture, where we signed many agreements with partners. And I've already talked about that. There were ministries, there were donors. We also had financial institutions, and we we did an MOU for partnership so that we come up with a program. And after signing these MOUs, we organized a workshop in order to share so that we can share the best practices for women farmers. And so during the CMAC, we had a stand in order to present the pilot project for family agriculture, which is managed and which is done by women farmers. And so we tried to present their successes, and also we listened to their success stories and their practices. And so the members of the national committee worked on family agriculture, because the people did not know what the decade was, what are the objectives and all that. And so we tried to train the members of the committee on these aspects, and we were able to pass on the message. And so we had workshops at the regional level. We did sensitizations. We also had, and so we started with the local and the regional level, and then
sachant que l'événement et le programme du décennie, il était accompagné par une large campagne médiatique. On a essayé de passer dans tous les radios, dans les plateaux télévisés, dans toutes les...
We went on radio, on TV, and on other media channels to talk about family agriculture and to talk about our national action plan. Other things we used to do was to talk to all stakeholders in the national action plan. Sorry, you have limited time. Please conclude your presentation. And you'll have time during group discussions to talk about the challenges and other things. Maybe I can just talk about the different stages of the implementation of the action plan. So you have the regional action plan that the national consultant helped us come up with during the implementation, during the whole process. End of 2022, we organized a national seminar for the approval of the National Action Plan. The seminar was organized in December 2022, and the plan was approved and validated by all the partners. And so maybe we can go deeper during the discussion groups. Thank you. Thank you, Lamia. I think you do have a lot of things to say, but I think you'll have time during the group discussions to get into details. Maybe I'll go to Mr. Francesco for the second presentation. Please be brief so that we can go to the discussion group. Thank you. Thank you very much. Second presentation will be very, very short. I speak in French because that's what I'm comfortable in, and I will talk about the communication activity for the platform. You could give me the permission to share my screen. That would be good. Yeah.
modalité présentation, toujours en allant sur slideshow, voilà. Premier bouton à gauche, from the beginning. Donc, Yenkasa Africa. On va voir un peu
Yenkasa Africa.
les résultats.
Let's look at the results or achievements in the last 5 years.
La prochaine, si vous voulez. Donc, Yenkasa, c'est une plateforme de communication pour le
Yenkasa is a communication platform for development that has quite a number of members in the steering committee, and we have a participatory communication plan, and we have 3 work lines, which is communication and outreach, capacity development, and rural communication services in Africa. So quickly, please, next slide. This is the achievements we've had in the last 5 years. As you can see, we started the website in 2020 with about 58 stories published. Somebody is speaking? Somebody is speaking?
J'entends quelqu'un d'autre.
Somebody else is speaking? All right.
Donc, on a commencé avec une soixantaine d'histoires.
We started with about 58 stories in 2020, and right now we have about 100 of over 90 stories.
De ce qu'on appelle en anglais le awareness campaign.
In terms of the awareness campaign, we started with local languages in 2021. We started with about 50 programs that were done across 37 radio stations, and now we are at we have about 10 million auditors in 8 countries. We also we implemented a community of practice that we started with 126 members in 2020, and currently we have about 450 members.
Jusqu'en 2023, même 450 en 2024. Donc, vous pouvez voir.
So you can see the progress. It's been a process. It's been a lot of work that has been developed at the editorial level to talk about these stories, to publish more stories, to gain access to these people. We also have capacity building, and also we've done a lot with the community of practice. Following slide. Next slide, please. Here we have the number of published stories and resources. You can see Facebook members and the change and the increase you have in the years. Because taking into account that the data for 2024 is just transitory, is not yet full data. Next slide, please. This is the same thing when you look at the published stories. You can see the progress. You can see until 2023 there is an increase. 2024 we still have full data. Next slide, please. Here you can see the pages that were visited on the Yenkasa site. Very important. Next slide, please. This is Facebook members, the growth of Facebook members that is growing. The participation is growing. Next slide, please. And here you can see the subscribers who have subscribed to our newsletters, our monthly newsletters, and the progress. Next slide, please. Here you can see
un exemple, c'est un groupe de discussion par mail qui
This is a discussion groups that were put in place to share experience, to capitalize on the experience. We created a group in 2023, and you can see even in 2024, we've grown immensely. Next slide. Here is achievements in terms of radio programs that were developed year by year through the awareness program. I have to precise that the program is in local languages. So all the programs are implemented, are broadcasted in local languages. We have rural organizations with guidelines so that they can they have guidelines, and there's this ownership of methodology that you've seen, and you can see in terms of progress, we've come from less than 10 programs to about 90 in 2023, and the 2024 campaign has just started. This is on capacity building. We've had 2 virtual sessions. We had one in 2020. We had 2 in 2020, which was on. And in 2022, we had training in English for participants from 8 countries. And in 2023, we had 6 webinars on experience capitalization in French, and we had a seminar on participatory video training and we had a representation from 13 countries. Next slide. In terms of rural communication services, you can see, sorry, I think this is on capacity development. It is a bit the resume of what I said, but in terms of participants, you can see evidently that there is a lot of success in experience capitalization webinars. Next slide. This is the third intervention pillar, which is the rural communication services. You can see in 2021, we had about 50 participants, and in 2023, we had a WhatsApp discussion that was very effective and had more than about 800 participants from Anglophone and Francophone Africa. We had other webinars and other forums, especially at the regional level, with about 300 participants on communication, which is not just radio, but we have a whole innovative chain that we've talked about. Can be mobile, participatory video, radios, interactive system, response and data collection methods, and online technologies. Next slide, please. Going as fast as I can. I'm quite conscious of the limited time we have. Here have a graphical, presentation of everything in terms of participants and and different pillars. We have 2 more slides. Next slide, please. We also we have our priorities, opportunities, and of course challenges in this slide. And priorities, we need to strengthen participatory communication capacities of member farm organization and family farmers, because we know that if there is just an ascending communication, you'll have less of an impact. But if we create awareness and we sensitize rural organizations, especially on the thematics that we've come up with, and of course, climate change is one of the themes. We all know how climate change impacts on socioeconomic factors and also even on survival of some agroecological sectors. And of course, promote knowledge sharing on good agricultural practices or in a horizontal way. Opportunity, it's clear that for a participatory platform like Yenkasa at the African level, it is fundamental to expand our membership. So you need to continue, you need to increase our membership. We need to have more impact to have this membership. We need to talk about our stories on Facebook and on other platforms and have debates and make use of the community of practice. And of course, you need to encourage women's participation. And we are quite conscious that a regional platform depends on the regional organizations and sub-regional organization. And I do think that we can encourage this organization to promote the role of women's participation, which can also be achieved by taking into account the linguistic and cultural context at the continental level. And that's why we have guidelines for the radio programs, and we ensure that our programs are done in a local language to favorize this, to promote this experience sharing. Of course, we have some constraints. We do not live in a perfect world. It is a very imperfect world. There is limited infrastructure. There is limited internet access. There is also low literacy, technological literacy in some regions. We know that there's also the question financial resources that are quite limited in this sector, so that you can implement communication campaigns. I think we are all concerned by these financial constraints, and a platform like Yenkasa should encourage the organizations to implement projects that can guarantee some income for the organizations. But it's a problem that concerns all of us. Financial resources is unfortunately always a problem. There's also a complexity in the implementation of the participatory platform. Often the language used by international organizations, by international ONGs, and even by other organizations such as FAO is quite complex, and that needs to be made understandable for the local organization. And so we need to make an effort so that we can speak the same language, so that everybody can access documents and content in a form that would allow them to participate. And the last would be, unfortunately, the question of armed conflicts is quite current about everywhere. You're talking about the Middle East right now, but even Africa, there are many unstable territories. Political instability, language barriers can all disrupt communication efforts. Not only for communication, but also could be a development barrier. And not only for the family agriculture, but for sustainable development that we've talked about. Next slide, please. Last slide. We are conscious that we need to continue raising awareness. We need to reach out to our members, to our general organization, so that we can need to raise awareness on mainstreaming family farming and ensure that everybody understands the risks, the opportunities, the contribution, and also have an understanding of that phenomenon, the importance of family farming, the importance of climate change, the importance of promoting new agricultural, new sustainable development contributions. We also need to continue developing the capacity of our members, strengthen communication skills in rural areas, and also continue promoting innovation through communication practices and tools. It's also about diversification, not only depending on the radio, but on mobile phones and other things. And I think here the role of young people becomes very fundamental. The third point is promoting inclusive rural communication by ensuring engagement of all stakeholders, and also by developing communication services that are tailored for rural needs. That's a bit what I had to present to you. It's all about the achievements, the challenges of the Yenkasa participatory communication platform. And FAO is a member at the steering committee, and I would like to thank Madam Igraf, who participates in all meetings and also always contributes to the improvement of our service. I would like to stop there. I know that I try to be as fast as I can, but if you have questions, please ask them. Thank you very much, Francesco. You've really, what you've presented is quite motivating. The two presentations had already been shared with participants in the chat. And we'll also share them on email. And I think right now we'll go to the group work. There'll be two groups, an Anglophone group and a Francophone group. We have a series of questions that you should answer during the group work. We have 4 questions to answer. The first question is, which challenges do farmers face, and what strategies could be proposed to overcome them? Second question, how can the platform be improved to support family planning? Third is on innovation approaches that could be implemented to involve more people in family planning. And on the fourth question is the specific needs that can be taken into account to promote women's participation in family farming. And we will share with you a work document that has questions in French and in English. So you're going to receive 2 documents in English and in French. Please download them and fill them up during the discussion group sessions. For the Francophone group, I'll be the moderator, and my colleague Hilary will be the moderator of the Anglophone group. Donc it's up to you to choose your working language and join the working groups. If you have any questions regarding group work, please go ahead. Otherwise, please choose the room you should be in. Of course, before choosing the room, I would ask you to download the working document. Have the documents been shared? Are they ready? Have they been shared on the chat? You'll have 30 minutes for the group work. The questions are already the written questions are already on the chat.
Vu que UNDAFF elle est toute seule avec nous sur l'appui technique de Zoom, donc prenez votre temps, UNDAFF.
Vous pouvez rejoindre, hein, les salles sont ouvertes.
Comment UNDAFF,
Rooms are open.
Les salles sont ouvertes, ils peuvent rejoindre.
The rooms are open. You can join. Have you shared
Elles
the
sont
work?
partagées dans le
working
chat.
document? Yes, they're in the chat.
Bon, je sais pas, j'arrive pas à les voir. C'est pour ça.
I can see them on my end.
Bon, je sais pas, est-ce que les participants, est-ce que vous êtes en train de, est-ce que vous avez trouvé les documents?
Have you seen the document?
Les thématiques des travaux de groupe ne sont pas partagées dans le chat.
No, they're not yet being shared. Not yet. I can't see them from my end.
Non, pas encore.
2 minutes. Voilà, c'est fait.
Okay, it's okay now. Should be okay.
Merci, UNDAFF. Donc, je vous demande, s'il vous plaît, de
Thank
les
you.
télécharger, s'il vous plaît,
Please download them
afin de vous faciliter le travail dans les travaux de groupe.
so that you can use them in the group discussions.
Est-ce que vous pouvez me confirmer si vous avez téléchargé le document avant de passer à la...
Please let me know if you're able to download the documents before going to the discussion groups.
Bonjour, nous sommes de nouveau dans la salle plénière. Je donne la parole à mon collègue Hilary pour continuer.
Okay, I'll ask Hilary to moderate the last part. Hilary, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Raja. Because of the interests of time,
Mes
I would
excuses.
really- Hello, is someone speaking? Annette, I see. Could we mute? Yeah. So I want to ask the rapporteurs to give us just a brief presentation about the discussions that they have had in a few minutes, and then we should be able to move to the next session. So I will start with the English group. Nokofiwa, so you could take the floor.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I will be presenting for the Anglophone group. For the obstacles in family farming, we have identified the following with my group. The first one is land tenure, whereby most of our farmers, they have small land holding, and it's very difficult to finance such land holding and even to attract the private sector. So this is one of the challenges that we face when we're dealing with farming as a family business. And then the other one was adequate access to extension. The family may be willing to farm, but you find that the ratio or access to technical support is not that much available. And the other thing is sometimes you'll find that this
Alex, could you please mute? Yeah, Nokofua, please go ahead.
Another thing, you'll find that sometimes there are challenges as to whom are we really training. The husband is attending the training and the wife is expected to do the farm management part. So how do we package the training to make sure that everyone who's participating in the farming family, they're able to get whatever that was trained or the message that was sent on those training. So you'll find that in most cases, the people who are being trained are not the people who are also working in the farm. And in that way, you'll find that they are not benefiting that much in terms of in improving productivity. And the other one was access to finance. Yeah, it was also another challenge where we see that most of them, they are not financeable. So you'll find that in most cases, they're using local community savings groups and formal financial institutions and circles. You'll find that in most cases, they're very reluctant to assist them in terms of access to finance. So from this, we have seen that there's a need to advocate for policies to ensure that smallholder farmers also access land for farming, because you can use that land even as a collateral to access finance. But if you do not have the land, it becomes very challenging to also even access the finance. And then they strengthening the financial capacity of the farmers by strengthening the capacity of farmer-based organizations or NFOs, whereby there is a need to identify resources and to know where the funds are, and then we can apply for them and have more projects that are more centered towards family farming. Because I think we can all agree that there are a lot of projects that are going on in our countries, but most of them, those projects that are in the hotels, where there are workshops, there are very less projects that you'll find that they are at household level or at farm level. And then the second one was how can the policy framework be improved? We also saw that most of the policies in our countries are more biased towards commercial farmers as compared to smallholder farmers. And there is a need, you can have the same policy, but it must have at least sessions to say, for commercial farmers, this is what we are suggesting, and for smallholder farmers, this is what we are suggesting, or this is what we are recommending, or this is how things should be done in that particular country. And another thing, there is need for stakeholder engagement to first make an awareness about the importance of farming as a family business or family farming, and then how to collaborate to ensure that there are increased efforts towards partnerships and collaborations with the stakeholders, because most of the stakeholders, they've got resources, they've got money, but you find that they're using the money in the wrong target group or the wrong people. So there is a need for stakeholder engagement to make that awareness and also to be prioritized. And then the other one was, what are the innovative approaches to engage in youth farming? For that one, we have discussed that promoting digitalization can attract more young people to participate in farming as a family business. But again, we also discovered that there is a need for promoting or improving the backbone infrastructure, such as access to internet. Because for them, it is easier for them to understand these digital tools that are coming with the latest technology. And again, we will all understand that they want to work less and they want to profit more. So mechanization should also be part of the package if we're going to say we're promoting youth participation into farming. And it is also important, we also acknowledge that there are a lot of forums that are promoting youth participation in leadership, but they still need to put more effort towards that. And the capacity building is also key to ensure that we build capacity of them to understand what they are going through when they're saying that they're taking the farming routes. So for this one, we feel like if countries can intentionally allocate resources towards the youth participation in farming for youth programs. For example, we can have incubation centers. We can have incubation centers whereby the youth can be enrolled and then they can graduate and have more commercial and viable farming businesses. And the third one was measures. The fourth one was measures to strengthen women participation in farming. The first one that we discussed was the platforms whereby we can have peer-to-peer sessions with women whereby they can discuss the opportunities that are available, the programs, and how to access those opportunities. We have seen that women, they learn better when they're talking from woman to woman as compared to whereby there is a mixture of the cluster of the group. And another thing will be building capacity of women to unlock opportunities at national, continental, and even international, because if we bring the information for them, it's going to be very easy for them to put more efforts even at farm level to say, if you are producing this, you can sell it nationally at this price, or we can export it to this country at this price. So unlocking these opportunities and bringing this information to women, it is very important. That being said, there's a need for a women forum in every country whereby the women, they can gather and they can discuss issues that are relevant in that particular time, and their challenges, their obstacles, and opportunities that are there. And then the other one was understanding gender responsive roles and tasks, whereby we have seen that in most cases, women, they've got a lot of other household activities that are expected of them. So it is very important to understand, and when we're designing the programs and the projects, to understand that how can we make sure that women are there, because you're going to call a certain meeting and women are there. The women are maybe still preparing for the kids or the husband. So understanding their daily task and routes is very important to ensure that they actively participate in farming, family farming. And then also linked to that is culturally, at a young age, like the girls, they've got their own gender roles, like taking care of the babies, maybe cleaning the households and what. Whereby, but for the boys, their roles is to take care of the livestock, to take care of the farm. So again, there is a need to bring awareness, and also to train households on family farming, that the gender roles for girls and boys, they should be aware that in the future they're going to affect the decisions that the husband or the woman that are taking towards farming as a family. So you'll find that in most cases, the girls that are responsible for these small activities, and the boys are the ones that are responsible for these hard activities. In the future, you'll find that men are running away from farming because they did a lot of farming, and now the girls are the ones that are doing a lot of farming, or the women that are doing a lot of farming. But due to the interest of time, that is where we ended with our group. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nokofiwa. Now the French rapporteur, very quickly.
Okay. Merci de me passer la parole. Je suis Mike.
Thank you. My name is Mike Atangana from Propac. And I'm going to present the discussion of the Francophone group. On the first question on obstacles and the solutions to access resources and the strategies that we propose. So for obstacles, there's the lack of guarantee when it's about family farming. There's also the high interest by financial institutions. There's also limited arable land. When we live in like forest areas, we have limited arable land. In terms of solutions, specific financing needs to be there, which means we need specific funds for family farming. There's also credit, having options, financing options with low rates, and there is encouraging the youth to participate in family farming, and also simplify
à la réforme foncière. Sur la question de comment les cadres politiques peuvent-ils être améliorés pour mieux soutenir les initiatives d'agriculture familiale et quel rôle les parties prenantes peuvent jouer dans le plaidoyer pour ces changements. Nous avons la participation des parties.
We have the participation of the stakeholders. We need to involve everybody in coming up with policies and also in the steering committee of programs, and develop infrastructure, rural infrastructure, in order to support agricultural activities and family farming, and also strengthen capacity of family farmers through training, and also giving them resources given according to their specific needs. And the states should caution farmers, that is through financing and other resources, which will help farmers to be sustainable. There's also the lobbying in order to strengthen networks and also create networks if there is need, and also doing advocacy for land policies for agriculture. And we also proposing the environmental support through action plan for farmers, and also the government action plan, so that we have policies that support family agriculture. And for the youth, it is true that we have started working, and so we have to propose mentorship programs for youth, for the young farmers, so that they can improve their competencies. And so the farmers that are experienced can actually play an important role in mentoring the young. And there is also the digital technology that can help to attract youth in farming for the managing and also the undertaking farming agricultural activities, and also social media, so that they can share experiences. We could actually organize prizes for young farmers. And so these prizes could include the agricultural equipment or even training programs. And there's also the visibility that can be there to promote the youth, so that the others are attracted to farming. And so the successes can actually be shared more. That is through documentaries, campaigns, and also through social media. On women, we need to ensure that women have equal resources to financial resources and even land resources. And so we need to have programs that are specific for women, for training and also technical aspects that is adapted to their needs. We also have specific training for women on topics that includes the technical, that is entrepreneurship and all that, and so that we have gender equality through the participation of women in decision making, and also so that we avoid discrimination and strengthen initiatives for women and strengthen their local participation, and so also support projects that are led by women. I would like to stop there and give the floor to Raja. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, Mike. Thank you, Nokonfiwa, the rapporteurs of the groups. And so I would like to ask you to send by email the reports from the groups so that we can do a summary. And thank you for the work that you have done in the groups. I would like to request you to do the survey that is going to be put on chat. And while you are doing that, you can put on your camera so that we can take a photo for the group. And as I have said, you can find in chat, you can now find in chat the link that will help us do the survey. So you can open, and we have the link in French and also in English. And as we are doing that, we can take a beautiful photo of the group. And so I would like to thank you for the time that you have taken to be in this session. And I hope that this has been a session that has been interesting. We have had interesting sessions, interesting discussions among the participants and also those who did the presentations. And so are you able to open the survey? UNDAFF, maybe you can verify this.
J'arrive pas, Raja. Julian n'est pas là pour nous donner l'accès.
I'm not there because Julian is not here to give us access to these links. Yes, we need to have our password. What do you think? What do we do?
We don't answer him. We will do the next time on the next session because he's not here and I don't know how to do it. It's a AHA survey, so.
Ok, parfait. Donc, on va prendre maintenant la photo.
So we can now take the photo, the group photo, and thank you for your presence. And I'm actually happy to have been your moderator for this session with the representatives of the farmer organizations. And so thank you, UNDAFF, for all the technical support that you offered us for this session. I know that you are the only one in this session without the assistance from Zuberi and your colleagues.
Yes, Zuberi is on leave. Nokopiwa, Annette, kindly, Dorothy, open your camera, c'est Mohamed. Roselyne, Annette, vos caméras, s'il vous plaît.
Roselyne, Annette, you can put on your cameras, please.
Just 2 minutes.
So 2 minutes. So it has been a pleasure to see all of you once again because it has been a very good opportunity for us.
Merci.
Thank you. Thank you, UNDAFF, and thank you each and every one of you. We would like to thank you once again, and we would like to wish you a good day and wishing you the best, and we see you the next session. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Merci Larry pour la modération.
Merci, au revoir.
Bye-bye.
Au revoir.
Bye bye.